I think it's me too.
Okay.
Lord, okay.
All right, y'all ready? We good? Right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to the District of Brown Deer School Board meeting. Today is Tuesday, October 22nd. Verification of a public notice. Meeting has been publicly noticed. Verification of a quorum. We have all 7 board members in attendance this evening. Approval of the agenda. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the agenda as presented?
I will make a motion.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. The motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Motion is made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. And the reading of our vision and our mission statement. Our vision is to provide a rigorous education that empowers our students to confidently navigate in our ever-changing world. And our mission is through the lens of excellence, equity, and engagement. We are dedicated to empowering every student with the essential skills to build a foundation for lifelong learning. All right, let's go on to our item. Well, before we do that, this is our regular board meeting. So we do know that we have public comments. Anyone that's wishing to be heard, you will have 3 minutes. You need to state your name and your Brown Deer address in order to be heard, as well as a comment has to be a part of what our agenda is. So nothing outside of it, and it's not a question. All right, so we will be monitoring the chat, or if you're in person, be able to do that and raise your hand. All right, so now let's go on to our item number 2, our district communication. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Pino. Good evening, board. Patrice Cotton, proud superintendent for the school district of Brown Deer. The month of October has been filled with multiple activities that have proved that both students and staff have been extremely busy. The first week of the month ended with a professional learning day for staff that provided development in several areas that helped to promote the district's mission and vision for student learning. Students are in the process of completing MAP assessments, and our 9th and 11th graders have completed the pre-ACT assessment. All information gained from these assessments will be used to inform instruction and achievement and growth in K through 12 math, reading, language usage, and science. The month of October was filled with many enjoyable student activities. Our elementary students participated in the Village Harvest Fest that included trunk or treat. Over 500 community members, including our students and their families, took advantage of this event. Games, pumpkin picking, food trucks, and a special appearance by Ronald McDonald made this event a resounding success. Fox 6 featured this story on their evening news broadcasting. You probably saw our communication coordinator, Katie Brandstetter, who served as person answering questions. As a precursor to high school's homecoming activities, our middle school students were able to enjoy their first school dance of the school year. Students were able to enjoy good music, good food, and good company as a reward for successful school opening. Shout out to all of the middle school staff and administration who made this event possible. October 10th through the 18th was homecoming week. During the week, students participated in themed spirit days that included pajama day, dress like your type, and the ever popular grade color day, to name a few. On Thursday, the pep rally was held and the day ended with a homecoming parade. Friday night, our football team, led by our quarterback, senior Wyatt Walker, took on Watertown Lutheran Prep and showed our Falcon pride of a can-do, never give up spirit. Our homecoming court was announced at halftime. Jacob Rudder was announced as king, and Miss Josie Guzmana Costa was named queen. Lastly, on Saturday night, our students enjoyed themselves at our Tangled themed dance. A big thank you to all of those who served on the homecoming committee. Your hard work is appreciated. Shout out to Miss O'Connor's ceramic class for the artwork they provided to a community partner. Our students created one-of-a-kind ceramic bowls that will brighten the days of others. The bowls were auctioned off at the Nourish MKE Empty Bowl charity event. The bowls created by our students are sold, and the funds generated will be used to combat food insecurity in the greater Milwaukee area. In addition to the Push Coalition, the importance of exercising your right to vote continues for our young adults. On October 9th, all eligible and interested students were able to register to vote with the League of Women Voters. Polling place information was also provided to students along with registration support services. Parent-teacher conferences were held Tuesday through Thursday, October 15th through the 17th. Thank you to all of the parents that attended in person or virtually to receive information regarding the academic health of your child. I would also like to thank the PTC and the PAC, or the PAC, for generously providing meals for our staff during conference nights. Your thoughtfulness is truly appreciated by staff and administration. On October 4th, we celebrated 5 inductees into the Brown Granville High School Hall of Fame. Your class of 2024 inductees included Crystal Hurd Young, class of 87, the late Tom Pigo, class of 93, Christopher Kite, class of 96, Kristen Lillard, class of 09, and Andrew Coach Majeski. Congratulations to all inductees. A special thank you to our athletics and activities director, Gerald McGregory, our booster club, and our communication coordinator, KD Brandstetter, for the program upgrade. Building strong relationships and school culture has been the focus for our students in middle school. Students went to the Jewish Community Center Rainbow Campgrounds to participate in team building exercises. These types of activities provide an extension of learning opportunities outside the classroom that can provide a healthy benefit to our students in their academic, social, and emotional lives. Give 3 cheers for our Lady Falcons girl tennis team, who are currently the Woodland Conference champions for the first time in over 15 years. Lady Falcons, we are BDSD proud of your accomplishment. And lastly, if you're looking for a great theater performance pleaser, join us November 1st through the 3rd for the upcoming play performance, Junie B. Jones is Not a Crook, and the Brown Deer High School will present Game of Tiaras beginning Friday, November 8th through Sunday, November 10th. We encourage everyone to come out and see our talented students perform. That concludes my district administrator's report for the month.
I'm sorry, could you say those dates again for those 2 shows?
Sure, exactly. For Junie B. Jones is Not a Crook, that's November 1st.
Thank you.
Through the 3rd. And then the Games of Tierra, that begins the next weekend, Friday, the 8th through Sunday, the 10th.
Game of Tierra.
Games of Tierra.
All right, board members, any other questions for Dr. Cotton in her report? Thank you very much, Dr. Cotton, for that update. All right, now let's go on to our next item, which is our public comments. Is there anybody that is on the chat? No? Anyone in person wishing to be heard? What we'll do is we'll give it another 30 seconds.
Is there anyone listening in virtually today? Mr. McGregory and Nicole Max. Thank you so much.
I'm gonna ask one more time, are there any public comments? All right, let's move forward. Let's go on to our item number 4, our consent agenda. Someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the September 10th, 2024 special board meeting, the September 24th, 2024 regular board meeting, the September 26th, 2024 budget hearing and annual meeting, the schedule of voucher payments via check, ACH and wire transfers in the amount of $1,329,305.23 in the general checking account and the food service account, including 10, 21, 27, 39, 47, 49, 50, 72, and 80, and the October 22nd, 2024 school safety drill update as presented tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Motion has been made. We have a second.
Second.
All right, Ms. Welch is a second. All right, any further discussion? You can see none. All in favor, will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And then motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, let's go on to our next item, item 5A, approval of new hires. Mr. Clement.
We have one new hire this evening. Michelle Harvey will be joining us as a elementary school special teacher. If you start yesterday.
All right. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to approve the hiring of Michelle Harvey as an elementary school special education teacher effective October 21st, 2024.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Welch. Motion has been made. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. Any further discussion? You can see none. All in favor, raise hand and or aye. Any opposed?
Excuse me, I'm sorry,
Yes.
did you get that all fast? I think you might have skipped 4C, approval of school safety drill.
No, that's part of the consent agenda.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was part of that, okay.
Yep. Usually consent agenda is usually A through C.
Okay, I'm sorry.
There's always one.
Oh, it was at the very end, okay, thank you, I'm sorry.
All right, so we had a motion, we had a second. All in favor, raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can see none. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. We'd like to welcome Michelle,
Michelle.
Michelle to the Brown Deer family. All right, let's go on to our next item, resignations.
Yes, we do have one resignation night, and this one hits close to home for me. Kathy Kelser, our district accountant, will be leaving us at the end of next month. I did want to just say a couple things because Kathy's been a huge part of this district for many years. She's been the accountant for 6 years, been a huge part of our business team. Before that, though, she's been a community member. All her kids have graduated from Brown Deer. Her youngest son graduated last year. Before that, she actually worked in the elementary school for a little while. So she's been here for a really long time, you know, dedicated Brown Deer family and everything. And certainly in the time that I worked with her, she's been just a consummate professional, has been so willing to jump in to solve problems and to work with staff to try to do what's right for the district and is always paying attention to all the little detailed things. So she's been a huge part of it and just does her job exceptionally well. And so these will be big shoes that we will need to fill. But I absolutely, for all the work she did for the district, I wish her the absolute best luck.
Wow, okay. Someone like to make a motion?
May I ask a question
Hmm?
before I make the motion? Her letter says November 30th is her effective date. This has 11/22 on it. Is it the motion sheet?
Sorry, that,
Got 27 on the motion sheet.
yeah, I changed it to 27th on the motion sheet, so.
Oh, okay. It was, oh, I gotcha. So there's the one on the sheet.
Yeah, gotcha, yeah, I was gonna mention that there was a slight change on that,
Okay,
so.
sounds good.
All right,
I'll make a motion to approve the resignation of Kathy Kelser as a district accountant effective November 27, 2024.
all right, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Ashley. Motion is made second. Any discussion? I just like to say on a personal level that this is one of those ones where you have individuals that not only work for the district, had kids in the district, lives in the district, have known for years and years, and this is definitely a blow to the Brown Deer school district family. But again, we always welcome well, and once a Falcon, always a Falcon, and she exemplifies what a Falcon is. All right, so with that being said, all in favor, raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? You can see none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. Again, like I said before, we wish Kathy the best in her future endeavors, and knowing Kathy, she's still gonna be around and doing something, always. All right, let's go on to our next item, which is our quarterly staff retention report. Ms. Jackson?
Right. So for the 24-25 school year.
So loaded. I know, so loaded. Sorry. I'm saying one person.
I was talking to.
Oh.
For the 24-25 school year resignations, we had 3 resignations. All 3 employees were sent the employment survey exit survey, but only 1 responded. So I will say this is not enough data collected to measure results at this time.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Jackson, for that update. Let's move on to our next item, item number D. Approval of the 24-25 budget. Mr. Clemming.
It's in the same.
Okay, right, I thought you were.
That's supposed to say. Good evening again, member of the board. So the budget process is finally at an end. Tonight is the culmination of months and months of discussions that we've had. And we're ready to approve a final budget for the 24-25 school year and then tax study. So the next two agenda items kind of work in tandem. So hopefully you're not interested in approving a budget and then not approving a tax levy or vice versa, because they're kind of tied together. So
Yeah, they kind of go hand in
and
hand a
they
little
work
bit.
together. So hopefully we have agreement on both when we get through. So I'm gonna share. So again, this document is very similar to versions that I have shared, either the preliminary budget, the annual meeting budget. We did a little update a couple weeks ago when we had some pupil count numbers. So I'll kind of go through relatively fast and highlight just a few things that we talked about, but at any point in time, feel free, if I pass the page that you want to talk about more, feel free to stop me. So just jumping into our highlights as a reminder, fiscal cliff we've been talking about, it has arrived, and we are in that position where we have a significant amount of funding that's shifting or disappearing. So we are addressing that this year by taking advantage of a strong financial position and not necessarily cutting anything, but to move forward, looking for approval of a deficit budget this year. And it's something we can handle for a short period of time, but it doesn't mean that we're gonna have to make some long-term decisions or unless the state does something different with how funding happens in the next few years, we will have to look for some, we either need to find additional revenue or we'll have to make some additional cuts in order to balance our budget. We continue to experience inflation that's still a part of our environment right now. So that affects not only cost of services and utilities and things like that, but also it's the impact it has on the job market and just trying to make sure we're staying competitive with our neighbors. That continues to be a challenge. We had another year of kind of significant turnover. We're trying to reduce that, and so hopefully we can continue to provide some increases that will support our staff and convince them that this is the best place for them to be. Overall, again, in the conversations that we've had, our district tax levy is going to be flat. We are going to see a drop in the operational tax levy, but the board has agreed, and the community at the annual meeting also agreed to keep the levy at a 0% increase from last year to use the additional funds to defease additional long-term debt. And so that'll be happening as part of this budget. And then again, just highlighting the fact that the long-term finances can be challenging. We did have a nice surplus last year, so it has provided us some cushion for at least this year and potentially one more, just to be able to kind of ride this out without doing anything significant on the change side. But we are going to have to start making some tough decisions, and so we'll just have to, as these conversations continue over the next year plus, to make sure that we're ready to either, like I said, increase revenue in some way, shape, or form, or look at ways of cutting expense. Jumping ahead then, again, this is we'll jump ahead to the student counts. Again, we revealed this a couple weeks ago what our student count was. We ended up with significantly, slightly less than last year and significantly less than what we projected with the additional open enrollment seats we had added. So it was a little bit of a surprise that we actually had declining enrollment as a whole this year. So our revenue membership count for our 3-year average dropped from 1,746 to 1,743. So there will be a small declining enrollment exemption that will appear as part of our revenue limit. That will go away next year. So DPI gives you a year to adjust for that declining enrollment where you have to make harder decisions on how you're going to address that. Again, our open enrollment we did add some seats this year. We had 86 seats actually open. We have 81 that are actually being spoken for. We have 80 that are spoken for. 79 were in the count, but for this purposes, I'm showing the 80 now. And still as of today, we are still at 221 open enrollment out. That has not changed. So last year we saw a pretty significant increase over those weeks between passing the budget and the student count, but it seems to have stabilized this year. So hopefully districts have reported all the information. So 221 would actually be a drop from last year, which would be somewhat good news, at least on the expense side. That's also part of why our membership count did drop. Our revenue limit projection for this year, we are going from $23.5 million last year to $23.9 million. Again, that $400,000 increase. Part of that is the additional $325 per student that we have included as part of the state budget. We also did have, though, the three student FTE that we're dropping, so we do have that declining enrollment exemption, which is an additional $38,000. We did lose the $241,000 levy we did for the tax chargeback we had to do a year ago. And then our prior year open enrollment was $100,000 less than previous years. And then we also now on October 15th got our final private school voucher numbers. So that actually increased again pretty significantly, up 17%. So we have $1.2 million of our tax levy. We're raising the tax levy $1.2 million to pay for that program. So that additional revenue just goes into an expense that matches. So overall, again, we're looking at $23.9 million as our overall revenue limit for the 24-25 school year, which is a $400,000 increase or 1.7%. And I did just include in the document a little information in the history of the independent charter school and the voucher program, just to show what that has looked like. So again, we've seen that significantly increase since 2019, when it was only $386,000 and about 4% of our levy. Now we're at 1.2 million and 17% of the levy. The independent charter school students did not change. That was something that totally surprised us last year. We had 2 students that were included. We had 0 this year. So originally in some of the estimates I'd given you, I was carrying those students through, but wherever they were, they've left. So they're not included. So that's not necessarily an issue for us, but I don't know if that will be a situation as more school options are created, and if there are other independent charter schools that are available in our area that we may start to see students going to those as well. That will be included in that area. And then with our state aid and tax levy, so our general equalization aid went up $1.5 million from last year, so it was up about 10.5%. Our exempt computer aid and our personal property aid under the revenue limit stayed about the same. It went up slightly due to a TIF closing. Excuse me. So our total state aid went up to $16.8 million, and that allows our tax levy to drop. So we are looking at a drop for Fund 10 down to $7,123,052. That's a 13.5% increase or decrease. Sorry. So that is our operational levy, because we don't use Fund 38, or Fund 41 is the other one that's included. We don't use either. So that $7 million is entirely for our operations for us. And then jumping ahead to the next page, where we look at our entire property tax levy. Again, with our fund balance in Fund 80, we're not looking to tax in that fund again. We want to spend down some of that fund balance. So we are taking the entire $1.1 million in savings from Fund 10 and applying it to Fund 39, which the board has the ability to do. And we will then next spring defease an additional $1.1 million worth of debt off of our long-term debt. So that'll allow our levy to remain flat, and it will allow us to save interest costs long-term and adjust our debt service going forward. And I did include in this chart this time around, when we look at the property tax levy, showing that golden area, which is the amount that we over levy just to do some defeasance. So you can see in 4 of the last 5 years, we've actually been able to do that and use that strategy to help reduce our long-term costs. So any questions about the revenue limit, tax levy, all of that stuff? And I will just show you, I'm going to jump over here real quick. I think that's the switch for me. Just to show you, I know that y'all love spreadsheets and Excel, but this is the confirming for everyone so that you know. This is the information that DPI releases as of the 15th, when all of the counts are in there. In our student count of 1743, they show our declining enrollment exemption of the 38,000. They include that. And then when we jump over to page 2, they are showing us what our overall revenue limit is with exemptions. Here's our state aid, and it does verify that our maximum allowable revenue is $7,123,052. We enter that number here, which gives us nothing left. So that's all where that is. And then we are entering in the 3,988,425, which is the other number we provided, which brings our total levy to $11,111,477, which is the same as the previous year. Our mill rate does drop 20-some cents to $8.31. Right. All right. So then going through the funds, if you have any specific questions, I'm happy to mention them, but I'm just gonna kind of go through the big picture. We are looking at our overall expense, our overall revenue, from 23-24 to 24-25 of dropping about $665,000. Of course, this includes things under the revenue limit and things outside of the revenue limit as well. So, looking at a 2.5% decrease in revenue. Highlighted some of the things that we've talked about before as to where that revenue is coming from. On the expense side, we are looking at expenses. Now, again, we budgeted significantly more last year, and then we had a number of reasons why we ended up as surplus. So while this increase seems 1.5 million, it wasn't 1.5 million for what we budgeted. We were in the 27 million, what we budgeted last year. So we are looking at $28.3 million worth of expenses, which is up 6%. And you can see the various categories along the way there, taking into account things. The biggest one that we look at is our transfer to Fund 27. This is a result of our spending in our special education fund and whatever isn't covered through other income sources, state aid or federal aid as well.
That's what the locker room is.
Didn't sound like that, it was coming from.
Sorry about that.
Oh,
Mr.
that's fine, that's fine. Yep, got some noise going on downstairs. So, so we have that number, and that corresponds when we look at Fund 27 on the revenue side, make sure that lines up. And so we are looking at $4.4 million as our special education budget. And again, special education has to match, both, revenues and expenses to zero out. And then when we combine, it's Fund 10 and Fund 27 are linked because of that transfer. Right now, we are proposing an operational deficit in our budget of $873,071. So this has shifted a little bit over the course of the time we've been having this conversation. This does include the additional expenses we added for doing the full camera upgrade. So all of those costs are embedded in here. We did just, of course, have to purchase a new truck last board meeting. That's included in here as well. So we did, we have accumulated all the costs that we have. I am still anticipating every budget I've done always tends to run a little bit. There's always little pockets of savings here and there. So I would anticipate at the end of this, unless something else happens that we have to address during the course of the year, that this number will be lower. But again, even with that $1.3 million surplus that we had, the 873 isn't even it's eating into a little more than half. And as we look at the chart with where fund balance has been over the last group of years, you can see that our projected number at the end of next year is still higher than it was at the end of the 2022-2023 school. Any questions on the overall budget, the deficit that we're looking at, all of that?
No surprises, he did inform us where we were. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. And then going forward, then just kind of touch base on a few of the other funds we have. Again, Fund 21 is our special revenue trust. This is mostly student activity accounts. We just kind of budget that, knowing that it's based a lot on what revenue is raised and what it's spent is based on that. So it's hard to budget for. Our non-referendum debt service. We have no activity in that account this year. We have no non-referendum debt, and we've already any residual fund balance we had, we transferred during the previous fiscal year. Our referendum debt service, this does reflect this additional $1.1 million worth of defeasance that we'll do. And again, what we do is because property tax revenue doesn't start coming in until January, it'll probably be March before we get all the money that would qualify to have money for operations and to have enough money to pay off the debt. So we'll start talking about the defeasance process in spring, and we're prepared again to go through that process, and they'll, go through all the paperwork to go through that process, and we'll probably close in April or May like we do in previous years. Right now we are at $33.5 million in overall debt based on our interest payments and based on our principal payments and our extra defeasance, we could be down another $3 million. So we could be close to just over $30 million at the end of the next fiscal year. Fund 46, again, our long-term capital improvement trust. One thing I did do differently on this than what we've seen previously is I did throw $100,000 worth of expenses coming out of Fund 46. because we have done a number of capital things, the asphalt repair, the swimming blocks, this boiler that we replaced in this building, over the last month. So what we'll do as a board, and as an administration, we kind of see at the end of next year, as we approach the end of the fiscal year, to see where that operational, where the deficit is, how big it is. And if we feel like it's getting too big, we can move some of those expenses into Fund 46 and use the funds we have there. But if we feel like we can ride it out because it's still in a place where we don't mind it, spending the money out of Fund 10 will help our aid next year. So we can just take it out of the fund balance piece. So that'll again be a little bit of a decision we'll make. It'll be a strategic plan just to figure out how we want to affect aid the following year. But right now I did add that extra $100,000 potentially as a expense. Fund 50 for food service, this hasn't changed much. Obviously, we did complete that $400,000 renovation in the North Commons this year, and that will be, if that will show in this report. We just got the bill, so we'll be paying that, and then you'll start to see it in the treasury reports going forward as well. So that's where you are seeing the significant drop in fund balance from 1.1, almost $1.2 million to just over $700,000, which should bring us under the threshold for DPI to be concerned about our balance. The employee trust one is just, again, placeholder for some HRA money that we hold for retirees. We don't really do much with that. But then the Fund 80 community service piece, again, we still have $190,000 in fund balance right now because of all the money we had collected during the pandemic years and never really spent it down. So, and we still get money for the CLC program. So looking not to add to that by additional tax levy, an additional tax levy for Fund 80 this year. We'll try to spend down that a little bit and get us closer to $100,000 in fund balance at the end of the year. And then the budget document does include the official by a source and function version that DPI wants the budget to see. So it's the same numbers in a different format, part of the publishing requirements that we have. So that is the budget in a nutshell. And if there are any other questions that I can answer, happy to do that.
So was it Felita first and then Lisa?
Yes, my question has to do with the previous page where you're operating in CLC, right? And you're in the third year of a 5-year.
For Fund 80, right?
Yeah, for Fund 80. So do we have to apply again at the end of the 5 years, or how does that work?
We would have to reapply and get renewed. That was a situation that the last time we had it back in the teens, we had it for 5 years. I was on the board. I don't know what happened with the renewal process, but we did not get renewed. So we just had the 5 years. So we'd have to examine, how the board would do that. In that case, we decided to use Fund 80 to do a smaller version of it to at least allow for somewhat of an after school program for our students. So again, that'd be a decision to make in a couple of years if that's.
Yeah, that's gonna come up pretty fast next year.
And I don't know when in the process you do that. I'm guessing probably at the beginning of that last year, you're already in the grant application process so that you know what's going in. So we can keep you updated once we get the information.
Lisa?
I guess the way I should word this is, this 1.1 million that we use for defeasance, wherever that money comes from, can it only be used for that? Or why, if we're having $870,000 deficit, wouldn't we just save that if we can and use it for operational and then we'd be in the plus?
Because you can't go over the revenue in operation.
Okay, so that's why. because
Right,
it
you
has
have the
to be
ability in
used
Fund
for
80
that.
and Fund 39, you can tax whatever you want.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what we do. And then,
Okay.
and again, what it does is it saves us so that if next year the levy has to go up either because of private schools, because of some other, if state aid were to go down or something else, we kind of absorb some of that already, so we could try to do it, or if the levy decreases even more, you could defease even more in preparation for it. Like I said, we've had the conversation, if we have to go out to referendum at some point, you have $1.1 million already kind of built in to the levy for that. So, it's not the full cost of it going forward necessarily.
Okay, well, thank you for the explanation.
Creative can count.
It's we call it levy stability. Because I do think taxpayers do get frustrated when it bounces around. And so, yes, we can do a reduction. And then if next year something changes our circumstance, now we have to raise taxes, then we lower tax. This at least, there's a reason behind doing this. And there is, I don't have obviously estimates for Baird yet, but the last time we defeased $1 million, we saved $400,000 in long-term interest costs. So likely it'll be that kind of a situation again. So at least long-term, we are doing things that save money for the district, will save money, you know, for future taxpayers when those bills will be due.
Any other board members have any questions? I guess my only thing, Kevin, is that, you know what, good job in putting all this together. I mean, we pretty much already knew where we're gonna be at, and we were going to have a negative budget and the whole nine, but we were still gonna be able to continue to provide all of our operations and our quality education for our students and being able to do our staffing. I guess there's two things I want to ask. One is for Ms. Ramos, like the 4 million that's in there and stuff, are you good in order to be able to handle special ed and everything that we need to do?
I want to say yes, we're getting a lot of kids that have higher needs in the district and foster parents that take kids with higher needs. It may be enough.
Okay. All right, that was question number one, because I think I probably ask that same question every year when we get ready to do it and stuff, because I know that that we actually have more students every year with special needs and stuff. So our special education budget actually needs to increase every year in order to be able to meet those needs. So again, I'm quite sure that this is a really good starting point, and if there was anything else that we needed to do, we'd be able to make that part happen. And then I think.
I will just say, just to go off that, one thing about the special education budget is that there is a good chunk of it that rely on the aid piece, or the special education aid, the aids that we have. And that, like your best efforts, that is somewhat of a high turnover role. And while we have openings right now, we generally do see underspending in those budget lines because we just have periods of time where we're trying to get aids and they're not always there. So every year we've done this, that amount, we've always come in under the projected spend in special needs. It's not that we're not spending the money on the kids that we need to, but sometimes staffing can be a little bit of a challenge. But we also did hold off a little bit of our claiming last year in IDA, so we're gonna have a little bit more rollover this year. So we were kind of planning on having some additional dollars available. So if we do have additional outplacements or something, we may have additional revenue available to claim from to help offset some of that. So, and we are expecting if the state does, they were special education aid, our categorical aid that we provided. It's based on spending. Right now, they're anticipating 33 point some cents for every dollar that you have in aidable spend from the previous year. So that's where in my budget on the revenue side for special education, it went up from 900 and some thousand to 1,030,000. That's being a little conservative too. The actual number is closer to 1.1 million, but the amount of money the budget sets aside is it's a fixed amount. And so as claims come in, they do adjust what that looks like. So we always, they'll say it's intended. This is the part of the budget conversation that they always have about fully funding special education or getting the 60%, or, right now they're at about a third, they're at about 33%. So if the special education spending were to go down, then they redistribute the same amount of money to more districts. And so it impacts, obviously, if special education spending as a whole goes up, it means each district's going to get a little less than that 33%. So I'm a little bit between where we were last year and where we could be. So that could go up a little bit potentially. So we'll see. Again, and the other piece of Medicaid is to make sure we're claiming as much as we can on the federal Medicaid side, which helps us on the revenue piece. So we're going to work hard to increase revenue as much as we can and use those claiming opportunities as we address any high cost students that we may be getting as well.
Okay, that was question number one. And then my question number two is under our Fund 27, it's like kind of a decrease of about a little under $100,000. Now, those instructional services, what exactly are those? And is that something like Dr. Glass? Is that something, I wanted to know exactly kind of what that component was.
That is, it's partially it's subbing. It's anytime we pay for contracted services. So it could be outside placements. We actually spend a little less through CISA. We've done a good job. We kind of been curtailing our CISA expenses, but so I do have a separate line for that. And you've seen the CISA payments drop over time. We used to have a $200,000 piece. That's gone down considerably. But some of these other instructional services would either be outside placements or also when we have had to use contracted instruction. So last year we went the entire year without a middle high school speech pathologist, right? And so that was something we had to use contract. So that shows up not in staffing, it shows up under other instructional services.
Okay.
So that's where that's part of why that went down is we now have a full-time.
So now we hired a person
We have one
instead of having to go out and
We'll
purchase those services from a consultant or a contractual.
Correct.
Okay, I just wanted to know, because my biggest thing is always gonna do is looking at special education, because I know the needs, but then those other purchase services, those are the other things that we need for those educational enhancements, you know, exposure, those type of things or whatever stuff. So I'm always cognizant of looking at those and being like, let's make sure that we're doing exactly what we need to do for the ones that are in the most need, but then also on the other end of the spectrum, you know, there may be some things that we need to do for our students that are the higher achievers as well, too, and stuff. So, okay, all right. Any other board members have any other questions for Mr. Clemick in relationship to this budget? All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I'd like to make a motion to 2024-25 over budget as presented.
Thank you, Ms. Farrington. Motion made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
All right, we'll go with Ms. Walker on this one. All right. Any other further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. I do want to say though, and Dr. Cotton, you know, when we look at this budget and we know we have this, we're improving a negative budget and everything like that. We know that we actually ended up being a little bit short on the students
Yes.
that we had for our enrollment and being able to do that. And by my calculations or whatever have you, I think that if we kind of would have been able to pull in some more of those students or whatever have you, we might not have been in a negative budget or whatever. So I do want to be cognizant of us making sure that we do a more concerted effort for our students that are in coming to the district or students that are leaving, trying to see whether or not we may be able to talk to them and have them come and see the facilities, or if they are trying to leave, why they're trying to leave. Is there anything that we may potentially be able to do as a district in order to be able to keep our students and everything else like that and stuff? Because as we all know, the number of students that we have and seats in the building goes towards this budget right here. All right. Okay. All right. Let's go on to our next item. Well, Kevin, have you actually the discussion is approval of this tax levy.
You just officially.
We just did it.
No, you approved the budget.
We already approved the budget, but I'm just saying, you just talked about.
I did talk about it. There's nothing really to talk about. I have the numbers up again, that you're looking at a 7,123,052 Fund 10 levy and a $3,988,425 Fund 39 levy. Total 11,101,407.
Same as last year. Okay. All right. Would someone like to make them, well, let me stop. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Clemick in relationship to this? We went through it already.
I will say, I think the important part is that last year, or the last time we did this, we talked about defeasing with the public, but we didn't actually know if we could do it. So we never brought it up, but we did present this budget and this, I mean, the tax levy was a little bit different. It was a little higher because, or the tax levy wasn't higher, the defeasance number was higher because the content levy was even lower. That changed with the public, with the voucher number, that kind of shifted. But the community members that were there that approved the annual meeting budget did agree to have a flat total levy at the $11.1 million amount, knowing the plan of defeasing debt. So we did actually engage the community in that conversation and they did support that.
All right. Sounds good. Would someone like to make a motion?
Dr. Vito, I would like to make a motion to approve a property tax levy as follows. 7,123,052 in the operational fund 10 and $3,988,425 in the referendum funds, 939. Act like I had dyslexia, sorry. For a total levy of $11,111,477 for the 2024-2025 school year.
Thank you very much, Ms. Macon. Motion made second. Ms. Farrington is the second. Any other discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, so we've got our 24-25 budget and our tax levy approved. All right, let's go on to our next item, which is our safety update. All right, Mr. Rust.
Good evening, board. How are you?
Good, good.
Wonderful. Just wanted to let you guys be aware of as a friendly reminder that we are going to be doing a lockdown drill this month, or this week, actually. And that we're doing everything that we can to make sure that our students and staff are safe and know what to do if our buildings get locked down. So that is something that we are doing this week. We are continuing doing our fire drills monthly. We have had elementary school, which had theirs done yesterday. And I do believe that high school is scheduled there. Shy of that, I don't have much more of a safety update for you.
I do have a question. Now with the cameras and everything like that and stuff, how's that been working so far?
So, hi, Dr. Bill. So last week we had, them in to do, kind of the mapping and the scoping. I sent an email out, I believe it was Thursday or Friday, to share that, that they were gonna be on rounds. They started on Monday. So it's a 3-phase, so we're gonna do the outdoors first, and maximize the nice weather, and then we'll move indoors, and as board requested, we'll start with the middle high school, and then we'll move down to the elementary school. The goal is to finish before Christmas break. They, depending on the resources and how they finish jobs, there may be more people that are able to help out. And they will take the week of Thanksgiving off, understandably so. And but we've got our network improvements, done. So we're ready to kind of have them installed, plug and play. And we've informed administrators that we'll be kind of operating in a dual environment right now. So because we've tested some of the Verkada, cameras already. As they're installed, we'll plug them in and then make them live to administrators, so they know that they're gonna have to kind of operate in both worlds, but we'll give them updates as to what that is, and it's kind of exciting, so.
That's why I wanted to figure out how that part of that safety update to kind of see exactly, because that was a major component of our safety budget was the cameras.
Yeah, I see that.
Yep. All right. All right, well, thank you very much, Mr. Russ. Oh, and did we purchase the truck?
Yes, we did. We did purchase it.
Okay.
In our garage safe.
Oh. Okay, all right, perfect. All right, let's go on to, ooh, I'm sorry.
When we have the lockdown drill, what happens with seniors that are off campus or in the process of getting off or back in? I don't know how long this lasts, or there a process for them to know where they're supposed to go or do?
They will be standing outside of the door.
Just
as of right
waiting.
now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
They will
Good to know
not be
that.
allowed in.
They do have, the admin assistants have signage that they'll post on the front door saying drill in progress.
So they would go.
No editing, yeah, so, right, so they're supposed to come in the main door, so not that always happens, but yes, they're supposed to come in the main door, so if they do come in those main doors, the admin assistants always post so that families trying to, possibly, or, doctor's appointments, things like that, so they'll.
I just know my seniors flying around.
If there was something real happening and it was a lockdown and they were coming.
And they would say not drill in progress, lockdown, no admit. No, they would not. They
Should come in.
stay out.
Yeah, when I was here, that did actually happen, so. Are they coming to this building? Like, where did they go? So if my kid was outside and there was like a lockdown and they were outside with what's in there?
So I think so if you're like a playground sweep or like,
Yeah, so like,
so you're talking
you know,
about
like
seniors
there's
coming into the building, we would try to, like, this is what we've done in the past is, we've either get in their cars and wait, or they would make their way here.
That's a good segue. We hadn't thought about that, but when we run the drill itself, maybe we can have someone that is positioned just in case there is someone out that's outside. That if this were a drill, they could be the ones to tell the kids to get back into their car or tell parents not to. So that's a good problem to have. Yeah.
Not every kid has.
Right.
So how often do the lockdown drills occur?
They're supposed to occur twice a year. We can do more often if we want, but we are supposed to report 2 times a year to this.
Yes, part of my ask is really around the fact that there's been so many social media threats that have happened recently, and I think there's just an uptick in general of that. So how much, like, so you do the drill, what is sort of the messaging that goes along with the drill? Does that make sense?
Sending, after the drills, we're going to send home a message to families and, that we had this drill, it was a practice drill, just to make sure, as Mr. Russ said, both staff and students know what to do actually in the drill. And when we're in the drill, we're gonna be announcing it twice that it is a drill. So, because we're also thinking about students where they are, so that they don't think that this is a real. So there will be communication, and then I've also asked for the leaders at the conclusion of the drill to debrief with staff, telling them what actually occurred during the drill. If there were, can't go too far, if there were things that were not supposed to happen during the drill, what should happen and how do we make corrections for that? So all of that I have on that day. So right after the drill occurs, we'll be sending out a notice to families. And then at the end of the day, staff will be meeting together to debrief about the drill.
The staff still have the online.
The Raptor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep, and again, a drill is, unfortunately, with products like that, we don't necessarily know what doesn't work until it doesn't work, right? So which is why you do drills, right? So then, so we're asking staff to, we worked on the messaging that all admin assistants now have by their PAs, and so they'll announce that protocol, it's all the same across all the buildings. And so, and then they're told specifically, what to do, and because it's a lockdown drill, so they're gonna sweep the homes, they're gonna lock the doors, and they're going to take attendance in Raptor, and then, continue with business. So, yeah, and then we'll take that attendance and then we'll try and compare those pieces.
I was reading about something in the school news. I think for September, October, that talked about some new legislation. What is it? Title 11, January 11, whatever, that talks about social media threats or whatever. And one thing that I was kind of thinking about is that given some of the things that we could be confronted with, it would be nice, in my opinion, if parents just got a small little note to say, these are some things that are happening in the world. And these are things that we are looking out for. Please know that your kid's safety is very important.
So
And we
basically
are-
our safety update like we had before and stuff, and we'll just go ahead and we'll make sure that we send that out. Because I think that kind of one of those things that we had talked about with the safety piece or whatever, being able to continue to be able to talk about our safety plan and safety initiatives and stuff like that. So, great idea, Dr. Khan, we'll turn around and send back out our, safety update and stuff to all of our parents and in the community and everything else like that. Letting them know that, it hasn't gone anywhere. Safety is still paramount, on our agenda and everything else that we do. So.
Right, and I agree, but I agree, but the addition to that would be to say, these are things that research has said are some potential things that may occur. Check your children's things, or whatever, and things that parents.
You mean the normal things that they supposed to should be doing anyway?
And how you can.
That they should be doing or whatever, and hopefully that they are, so.
Right,
Okay.
right.
All right, cool.
Kids,
Perfect.
things or whatever. Thank you.
Okay.
And then I just got one little last thing to inform you guys is that in the November board meeting, I will have something for you guys to review.
Something like,
Or to say that we did our safety drill.
oh, okay,
That's
all right,
I'll have
part
a
of it.
report for you guys and
okay,
something that you guys can sign off on.
There's a report from all three buildings that the board needs to,
See,
you know,
yep.
one, that the drill
Yeah.
occurred, then we send it up to the Department of Justice.
yeah, that's the
And
one
so
we signed
that's
off
what
on, yeah,
That's what
okay,
you sign up on, and that's what he's referring to.
okay, all right, thank you very much. Any other questions or, anything in relation to safety? All right, let's go on to our next item, which is approval of our resolution authorizing a taxable tax and revenue anticipatory promissory note. Mr. Clement.
This is our cash flow, borrow or not borrow, but line of credit that we are establishing, to, have it, available should we need it, based on again, where our cash flow is at, for the end of November. This is similar document that you saw a year ago. And we also went through Tri-City, which is one of the banks that we use. Very similar terms. It's prime minus 0.5%. Right now, prime is at 8, so it would be 7.5. I just double checked the document I shared with you last year and it was at 8.5, so it would have been 8, so it's a little slightly higher. And again, it's only if the only expense to us, other than, I think it was $2,300 we paid Quarles to do the paperwork. Outside of that, if we do not access the funds, there's no additional cost, which I am not anticipating, but it's just nice to be able to have that, which the $500,000 is a payroll. Should there be some delay in between the COPS grant or some other funding that we're waiting on that we feel like we might need to draw on it. Would only be for probably a couple weeks, again, right around Thanksgiving until the second week in December when the state provides us with 40% of our equalization aid, which will cover us, and we'll be fine, cash positive for the rest of the year. So again, very similar terms. So I would recommend that the board approve the cash flow borrow documents as presented.
Right, and just to put it in layman's terms, all it is a line of credit to be able to pay, just in case we don't have any money, we don't have enough money for any of our bills or whatever, that we do have that's there. The other time that we have done this before, we've never used it, but it's always that great safety net to be able to have. I think about $2,300 to be able to have on hand. $500,000 is a drop in the hat compared to what we need to do and stuff. So I just wanted to.
Yeah, it's payroll for us is about $350,000 to $400,000, so it covers payroll. We did actually, this is the third year we've been a line of credit. First year, we went through BMO for $1 million. There were additional costs associated with that. Then we went through this program with Quarles the last 2 years. Actually put out the bid and Tri-City, Tri-City won it, and so we just went back to them again, knowing we were gonna run into similar terms going forward. So before that, we were borrowing. So there were a period of time where we would borrow $4 million for the year to cover the cost, because that's when our fund balance was much lower than what it was. So we should be good for this year, but again, just having that safety net.
Right there. All right, would someone like to make a motion?
I would like to make a motion to approve the resolution authorizing a taxable tax and revenue anticipation promissory note
There we
for
go.
cash flow purposes in the amount not to exceed 500,000 as presented.
Thank you very much, Ms. Roberts. How eloquently you put that.
Reading something.
There it is. All right. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All right, thank you, Ms. Megan. Motion is made second. Any discussion or question? Hearing seen none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing seen none, motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, Mr. Clement, that is in the works now. All right, now let's go on.
Didn't we one time hold that in case we came up short on like the salaries, right? You can use that money there?
Use for anything.
Yeah, okay.
All right, let's go on to item number H, our Neola policy review, second reading.
Yeah, the administration is seeking your approval and adoption regarding the second reading, 29 policies listed on tonight's agenda. Most of the policies include technical changes or numerical changes of the policy to realign with corresponding or related policies. The district chooses to adopt these policies and administrative guidelines to remain compliant with federal and state.
You're not looking for an approval tonight, are you?
It's just, yeah, for the second reading. of the bills.
It's not on.
It's not on here.
It's just not on the motion. But-
Okay, all right, well, okay, would somebody like to make a motion?
Yeah.
All right,
Dr. Beal, I'd like to make a motion to approve the second reading of the review of the Neola policies as listed in their 5H. All those policies.
all right.
That's it.
As presented.
Tonight.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Motion has been made. Do we have a second? All right, thank you, Ms. Welch. Motion made and second. Any other further discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor will raise hand and or aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing and seeing none, motion carries unanimously 7-0 for the second reading of the Neola policies. All right, let's go on to our item number 6, our board reports, our SWSA. Couple of things, DPI presented their 24-25 general school aid. There was an increase of 4.2%, which ended up being like $224.9 million for a total budget for DPI of $5.58 billion. All right. The next thing is, and this is kind of a little bit more closer to home for us. All right, so there are 13 local districts that are around us that are actually going out for referendum in November. To be able to do that for not only operational or facilities referendums. Some of them, Tulsa, Whitnall, Glendale, West Dallas, St. Francis, Oak Creek, back around Thiensville, Mapledale, Glendale, Franklin, Cudahy, and Arrowhead. All around us are all going out for referendum for November. So that's just letting everybody know that, hey, the budget shortfalls everywhere are real and they are coming. And I think ultimately that, again, we know that we talked about in our annual meeting that we're letting our constituents know that, hey, this is coming. Now, what we've been able to do with this $1 million is to be able to say for this year, no, we're good. The following year, we may not be there and stuff. So we just make sure that we continue to pass that message along to the Brown Deer community that, hey, a referendum is going to be needed, both operational and facilities wise, is going to be needed. And we're not just doing this out of a drop out of a hat or whatever have you. When you think about it, was it 426 school districts across Wisconsin? I think it was 188 of them have already gone out for referendum.
I think in terms of November. Ooh, did I see the number? It's a pretty high number.
Because it was like 90 from April, so.
So, I mean, again, this is something that every district is going through, small, large, medium, urban, rural, minority, majority, doesn't make a difference, you know? So again, that should be letting our legislation know that the money that's coming down is not enough in order for us to be able to, support our students' needs.
So it should be letting them know that, but I don't know if they're really paying attention.
Well, again, but that's our job, is to make sure that we continue to let them know that, and that'll be part of those communications that will be going out.
Right, so that's why I was gonna say, should we maybe engage in a letter writing campaign to our legislators around this, because that was it 1.6 billion surplus that they had, they still have, that they haven't done anything with. And that 1.6 billion collects over $7 million of interest every month.
Yep.
Why can't you give these schools more money?
There it is. And that's a perfect example or whatever have you. But again, you know what? I think a lot of it end up being held or whatever. They're gonna find out what's gonna happen with these next elections that's getting ready to happen before any of this money gets distributed or moved around or whatever is getting ready to happen. So again, that's just me and my guesstimation in relationship to that or whatever have you. But again, you know, you're preaching to the choir right now and stuff. So again, I think that is one of the things that, you know what, Dr. Cotton, our communications person, maybe that is something else that we continue to put out there. And maybe that is one of the things that we do as a board. We talk about to our community about a letter writing campaign to all of our legislators or whatever have you in relationship to this, because you know what, if the money increases, we may not have to do these referendums. So right now, so that way you don't have to write the check later.
Okay, and then second part of that is going back to working probably with the communications person, and I can help with that. I'd like to see just a simple letter that says, and this is, what necessitates school districts needing referendums? Including that information that you put in there, Dr. Beadle, from the beginning with the overview of this is what happened last year. This is what happened in in April. This is what's going on in November. Now, these are some of the reasons why there's less governmental money coming through. We're losing ESSER. People are electing to use vouchers and move their kids out of the district and da. All of the things that could be potential reasons for why it is that we lose money that would necessitate the possibility of us getting a referendum. In meetings that I've been at the NAACP, meetings that I've been at regarding MPS or listening to people that are going to those meetings, their whole thing, the kids aren't getting anything. Everything is going to the they're thinking it's going everywhere other to the kids, but they're not realizing how money is used and how you can't surplant money and how you have to kind of rob Peter to pay Paul. I'm not saying get that thick in the weeds. I'm just saying just the overview of how the district loses money, one section, and maybe a second section saying, these are things we need money for.
Right.
You
And
know,
those are the things that actually already had kind of, me and Kevin had some conversations in relationship to that. Because, one of the things that Dr. Cotton, because one of the things that we've got to turn around and think about before we put the cart before the horse is how much are we really thinking about that we're going to need? And is that going to be a 3 years? Is it going to be a 5 years? Is it going to, so there's a lot of different things that we've got to put in place first and have answers for ourselves before we're able to continue to go out and submit a lot of other information. But those are the things that we're working on right now, trying to get some of that part of it figured out a little bit. Just this aspect.
Wondering if there is a committee that is specifically around, just.
Communication.
Yeah, the whole communication piece, but and from a bigger, sense, just this whole, effort around the
Referendum? Well, I think,
message, what
Yeah.
needs to go into trying to figure out.
well, part of it had to be with that we got from Baird. Well, see, a lot of the information stuff that we'll continue to use will be the information that we got from Baird and everything else like that, plus the information that Kevin is going to be able to give us in relationship to what those numbers look like, what Dr. Cotton, her administrative team are going to be like, what else are we going to need? Because the other part of it too is it's not the operational part, but our facilities as well too, or whatever. Because I know, like we had talked about with Matt before, we've got roofing issues. We've got a bunch of other different things that are kind of going on that, we've got these wonderful grounds.
Yeah.
All right, but we got to maintain them. And there's some things that we haven't done that we needed to do, but because we were trying to save on the budget and not approve a deficit budget, because we've never done that before. We've never approved a deficit before. Those are the things that we were trying to do. So now this is kind of where we are. So again, this is probably another conversation that we probably need to have.
Yeah.
Or whatever have you, because there's some other things that we've got to we got some other attributes we got to try to figure out first before we go out with a full-fledged message out to everybody. So because the questions are going to be asked are going to be like, how much, why, when, where? And so we need to have all of those in place.
that's the reason why I'm saying a lot of times folks say that they were blindsided. They had no idea that the referendum was coming. And, right.
Organized.
Because it wasn't organized. What we talked about in other meetings that we had is that we want to be able to communicate things. This isn't telling them we need dollar amounts or whatever. It's not even saying that we're gonna need a referendum. But if you set it up and the communication says, this is what's happening all around us. These are things that you look to for figuring out what necessitates school districts needing referendums.
Right.
And then you give that information and then you advise them to make sure that they looking at that budget and where they can find it every month so they can kind of trace.
I mean, with me and Dr. Cobb, we had that meeting, we had the conversation 2 weeks ago. So we gonna get there.
I mean, the only
Yes, Ms. Walker.
comment that I would have is,
just remember, Brown Deer is made up of more people that don't have students. And so you can, and these people aren't on Facebook or they don't communicate on the web. And so how do you get to the people that are old school that go through the mail? How are we gonna let the people in the district know without students that this is happening? Because those are the people we need on board, right? Because there are more of those.
Then, yeah, 70% of Brown Deer does not have students that go to the district.
Exactly.
That's the reason why I had a conversation with Wanda, with President Montgomery. So we're going to tie all of this together with the village, because the village is also running a little height as well too. So hence the reason why I have that conversation with President Montgomery as well too. So that we're working together, not in a silo, not in a vacuum, because this is a community, this is a Brown Deer community thing.
It's
So-
one thing to get to the parents and the people that actually have students here, and you can do that by your normal channels. But the others, like
Right.
70%, they're not on those channels.
You got your
And
seniors.
those are the ones that don't understand this.
Yep.
Those are the ones that are gonna say, well, my kid graduated in 1986. I don't understand why you need this money, those are the people that we need to get to.
Yep,
right?
exactly. That's the reason why I was like,
Has to be a good, a directive.
Yep, and that's the reason why-
Target the people
Yep.
without students, yeah.
Yep, and that was the reason for bringing in President Montgomery and being able to kind of talk about that, because this is just not a school district thing. This is also a village thing. So what we're gonna have to look at this thing is we're going to have to do this as a collaboration between both governing entities of the village of Brown Deer, the school district as well as the village. So this is gonna have to be a group effort and stuff, because there's more things that's going on rather than just the school district. Our village is also going through a bunch of different things as well too. So,
There's still a North Shore newspaper.
yes.
The other thing too is it's important to know that at the very, very, very baseline, people move into communities like this because of their schools.
Yep.
Particularly
Yes.
families who are
I did.
looking for a nice community. So I'm older, probably one of the older people when I get ready to sell my house. I want to be able to sell my house because I know that we have a good school district to a nice family who have children who want to be educated in a class educational institution, right?
It is.
Number one. Two, that means that if we are gonna have this discussion, we need to probably have a cross-section of folks that are sitting at the table, that are making decisions about what this referendum looks like when we move forward.
Yes,
And-
definitely. And this will be a committee thing. This will not just be a committee of, this does not be the board. This is gonna have to be a committee of individuals. This is gonna have to be a stakeholder
Right.
committee in
Absolutely.
order to be able to make this thing successful, to be able to get the word out and everything. See, all of this is coming from a SWSA update. Look at that.
And just as a reminder, so the timeline usually would be a vote, you have to by January, but certainly December or January, looking at an April question. So we've already decided, that with the amount of money we have in surplus, we're not gonna worry about it for April 2025, but if it's April 2026 where the discussion is, then you're really looking at having a conversation between now and December of 2025. So you certainly have enough time, but it's just a matter then of figuring out what that looks like, how many meetings you wanna hold and how you wanna spread that work out across the next 12 to 14 months.
Yeah.
So that in December, you feel like you're in a good place to be able to propose a plan and then vote on a plan that you think will be successful in April.
Yep.
You also have an opportunity then in November that year as well, because you have the 2 sets of elections.
You got 2 sets, yeah.
So you can't do that if something, but that's just so you understand the timeline of what you're looking at for that.
And that's kind of what we did before when we did the other referendum as well too. So other referendums are what.
Is it better to do put the referendum on a well-voted timeline, like election? Yeah, like
You
this.
have to anyway.
Hmm.
You have to do it anyway. That's to be during the election.
Well, I know, but
You can do it at the primary or at.
Yeah, well, there's more, you mean like the presidential, you got primary, yeah.
Yeah,
It is because more people are voting.
if we do 2026, that'll be midterm.
Yeah,
Years.
midterm elections.
So,
November will be midterm,
Yeah.
April will be, and that'll be a question like, I don't know if there's Supreme Court justice or anything like that that draws, otherwise it's just local elections background. So, again, it depends if the highly motivated people will go and hopefully you can, if people are convinced to want to participate. When you have mass elections, sometimes you just get people who, aren't even paying attention to that particular issue and may vote. Well, you don't want them to necessarily because they're just gonna, I don't want to do that. So
Yeah.
it depends.
Yeah, it would be nice to
Demographic you mentioned, though.
invite people like the senior leagues, you know, the different people, the different.
I just talked to them too, yeah, let us know. Again, so again, we'll get it out there, we'll get this communication stuff out and everything, all right, let's go on to our, WASB.
One other thing I'll say, if anybody's interested in getting a template of a letter that you can use to send to your legislators, let me know, I'll send it to
Well,
you.
let's put it together and then we'll just have it.
It's already done.
All right, then, we're good. See, look at that. All right, WASB update.
Real quickly, the DPI released its 24-25 state school aid figures on October 15th. That was prominently posted on the website of WASB. We've got elections coming up 2025. WASB School Board election resources and other election-related resources can be found on the website, but you all got those books now. I just got mine. And so we are getting ready to move into we didn't get that book. Oh, you didn't get books? You should have all got one.
Yeah, I got mine.
Should have got one of these.
I didn't get one.
I got mine today.
That book, I
It
just
came
got mine.
today.
I got mine
Friday.
today.
So look for it. And
Why you get yours on Friday and I got mine today? That's crazy.
the rest of us didn't.
Did you get yours?
No, it is, I have other things that.
I
you not spell.
I am special to my person.
Oh, well, when you have a judge in the house, it don't. Yeah, I went there.
That's about it.
All right, sounds good. Thank you very much. Ed Foundation.
We finally have a meeting scheduled for next week, so.
Okay, all right, perfect. All right, Park and Rec.
Dorothea, did you make the Park and Rec meeting for me or no?
No, I told you that my car, the light came on. I sent you a text. Did not.
Okay.
All right, okay,
I will go to the next meeting.
okay, no problem. All right, now let's go on to our item number 7, our board planning calendar. November 5th is Professional PD Day. The 12th is our special board meeting, 26th, our regular board meeting. Okay, Thanksgiving, the 28th to the 29th, is a holiday, so no school. December 17th, our regular board meeting, 23rd through January 1st is winter break, no school. January 2nd, PD. January 3rd, teacher workshop. January 6th, because I can read. January 6th, school resumes. January 14th, special board meeting at the ANC. January 20th, MLK holiday, Dr. Brother Martin Luther King holiday, and the 22nd to the 24th is a state education convention. All right.
You just said this, but the December meeting, there's only one meeting and it is actually the third Tuesday. So make sure you have it on your schedule correctly.
Everybody out here?
What?
In December, there's only one meeting and it's a third Tuesday. So make sure you have it on the right day.
Yep.
Because it is not the second,
Or the 4th, it is the 3rd.
third, and the only one that month.
All right, with that being said, all right. Would someone like to make a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
All right, we have a motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Mr. Walker. Motion has been made a second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise hand and/or aye. All right, any opposed? Hearing seen none, I'll call this meeting adjourned at 7:19 PM. Everyone enjoy the remainder of your evening and some of this wonderful weather before temperature gets ready to drop.